We got addicted to wanting, didn't we? We all want something. Success, love, peace, freedom. We chase these things with all the energy we can muster. We write down goals, create vision boards, speak affirmations, read all the books, listen to the podcasts, and still, nothing changes. The paradox? You can want something with all your heart and repel the exact thing you chase. So what's missing? Well, the universe, or reality, or God, or the self, whatever you call it, does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you are, what you embody, what you carry energetically, what you believe when no one's watching. Carl Jung understood this profound truth better than perhaps anyone else. He called it the shadow, the parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge, the unconscious aspects of our personality that dictate our reality more than our conscious desires ever could. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Think about that for a moment. Your unconscious patterns, your buried beliefs, your shadow self, these are the true architects of your experience, not your vision board, not your affirmations, but the deeper, often hidden aspects of who you are. Wanting is passive. Embodiment is active. You can repeat affirmations every morning and still feel stuck, but desire alone won't shift your life. You can want wealth, but if your nervous system is still wired for survival and lack, you'll subconsciously push it away. You can crave love, but if your self-concept says I'm unworthy, you'll sabotage every connection that tries to come in. And the universe responds, not to the surface level words you say, but the energy you carry. The you who wants something isn't always the you who is ready to hold it. Your identity shapes your reality. Carl Jung called this phenomenon projection. We project our inner world onto our outer reality, then wonder why life keeps reflecting the same patterns back to us. In his seminal work, Ion, he explained, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But here's where it gets deeper. Jung discovered that we don't just project our conscious desires, we project our entire psyche, including the parts we've disowned, rejected, or never acknowledged. If you've rejected your own power, you'll attract powerless situations. If you've disowned your worthiness, you'll magnetize experiences that confirm your unworthiness. If you've split off from your authentic self, you'll manifest a life that feels foreign to who you really are. This isn't mystical thinking. This is psychological truth. Jung spent decades observing how the unconscious mind creates our external reality through what he called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that aren't coincidences at all, but reflections of our inner state. The physics of frequency. Let's talk in energetic terms. You are a frequency, a signal, a vibration. Every thought, belief, decision, and identity pattern creates a coherent energetic signature. The universe doesn't speak English. It speaks in frequency. It reads the signal beneath the surface. If you say you want peace, but your internal world is chaos, you're not an energetic match for peace. If you ask for love but walk in fear, you're not tuned to receive love. You're tuned to protect yourself from it. And so, life mirrors not your words, but your energetic truth. Jung called this the principle of synchronicity, the causal connection between inner psychological states and outer events. In Synchronicity, and a causal connecting principle, he wrote, "Synchronicity is the coming together of inner and outer events in a way that cannot be explained by cause and effect, and that is meaningful to the observer." But here's what most people miss. Synchronicity isn't random. It's responsive. It responds to your predominant psychological state, not your temporary wishes. Jung observed that when someone underwent deep psychological transformation, when they integrated their shadow, aligned with their authentic self, and healed their unconscious wounds, their external circumstances would shift in ways that seemed almost magical. He called this individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, rather than who you think you should be or who others expect you to be. The individuated person doesn't attract what they want, they attract what they are, and what they are is finally aligned with their deepest truth. Identity drives outcome. Who you are is a reflection of your beliefs, habits, and self-concept. If you want something different, you have to become someone different. Want peace? Be someone who doesn't chase chaos. Want love? Be someone who already believes they're worthy of love. Want abundance? Be someone who makes choices as if they already have enough. The breakthrough doesn't come when you ask. It comes when you align. Jung called this process the reconciliation of opposites. In his theory of psychological types, he explained that we all have both conscious and unconscious aspects of our personality. The conscious aspect is what we identify with, our ego, our self-image, our desires. But the unconscious aspect often holds the key to what we truly need. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But becoming who you truly are requires facing the shadow, the rejected, disowned, or undeveloped aspects of your personality. If you want success but have unconsciously rejected your own ambition, perhaps because you learned as a child that wanting things was selfish, your shadow will sabotage your conscious efforts. If you desire love but carry unconscious beliefs about your unworthiness, perhaps from early experiences of rejection or abandonment, your shadow will create situations that confirm your unworthiness. This is why traditional goal setting often fails. You're trying to override your unconscious programming with conscious will. But as Jung observed, the unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the source of the highest good. Your shadow doesn't just hold your wounds, it holds your power. The very qualities you've rejected or feared in yourself are often the qualities you need to embody to create the life you desire. The ego wants, the soul remembers. The part of you that wants is often the ego, the conditioned self, shaped by past experiences, unmet needs, and cultural programming. It says, "I want success so I can finally feel worthy. I want a relationship so I'm not alone. I want money so I can prove them wrong." But the soul doesn't crave in that manner. The soul remembers. It already knows what you're here to experience: joy, abundance, expansion. But it waits for you to align with it, not chase it. Alignment isn't about effort. Alignment is ease. Alignment is becoming the version of you that already knows, trusts, and is. Carl Jung distinguished between the ego and the self, the archetypal image of wholeness and the regulating center of the psyche. The ego wants. The self simply is. In Memories, Dreams, and Reflections, he wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But he also warned, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Why terrifying? Because accepting yourself completely means accepting your shadow, your wounds, your contradictions, and your power. It means dropping the mask of who you think you should be and embracing who you actually are. Jung discovered through his own confrontation with the unconscious that when you stop trying to be someone else and start being yourself, life begins to support you in ways that feel miraculous. He called this process individuation, becoming undivided within yourself. When you're no longer at war with aspects of your own nature, when you've integrated your shadow and aligned with your authentic self, you stop attracting what you lack and start embodying what you are. This is the difference between manifestation and authentic being. Manifestation often comes from ego-driven desires and tries to manipulate external reality. Authentic being comes from psychological wholeness and naturally creates a life that reflects your true nature. Who are you today? Take a moment and ask yourself, am I living like the person I say I want to be? Are my daily actions aligned with the life I claim to desire? Do I walk, talk, and think like the future version of myself I dream about? The universe isn't ignoring you. It's simply reflecting your current state of being. Not your vision board, not your wish list, not your intentions, but your embodiment. Jung would add these crucial questions. What aspects of myself am I rejecting or hiding from? What qualities do I judge in others that I refuse to see in myself? What patterns keep repeating in my life, regardless of my conscious intentions? Where am I living from ego versus living from my authentic self? In his work with patients, Jung noticed that the same people who complained about their circumstances were often unconsciously recreating those very circumstances through their psychological patterns. The person who complained about being rejected was often rejecting parts of themselves. The person who felt powerless was often giving their power away unconsciously. The person who couldn't find love was often withholding love from themselves. Jung called this psychological truth. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Your external reality is a mirror of your internal reality, but not just your conscious internal reality, your total internal reality, including the parts you've pushed into the unconscious. The shift happens in small moments. I'm not talking about faking it till you make it, but learning to stabilize a new identity through action, belief, and nervous system calibration. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to live with integrity, where your desires and your daily decisions finally match. You say you want inner peace, but do you scroll endlessly into mental clutter? You say you want confidence, but do you keep shrinking to please others? You say you want success, but do you sabotage your mornings and avoid discipline? The version of you who has everything you want already exists, but it is hidden behind layers of self-doubt, habit, and fear. Peel that version out. Live from that place. That's when things shift. Carl Jung called this process active imagination, the practice of consciously engaging with unconscious contents to bring them into awareness and integration. He wrote, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens." The shift Jung is describing isn't about changing your external circumstances first. It's about awakening to who you already are, beneath the layers of conditioning, fear, and social programming. Jung's concept of the transcendent function explains how this works. When you can hold both your conscious desires and your unconscious resistances in awareness simultaneously, a third thing emerges, a transcendent solution that honors both aspects of your psyche. For example, if you consciously want success but unconsciously fear visibility, perhaps because you learned early that standing out was dangerous, the transcendent function might guide you toward a form of success that feels safe and authentic to your particular psyche. This isn't compromise, it's integration. It's finding the unique expression of your desires that aligns with your total psychological truth, not just your ego's agenda. Shadow work, the key to authentic attraction. What Jung discovered through decades of clinical work is that we don't just attract what we are, we attract what we are unconsciously as well as consciously. If you've pushed anger into your shadow because you learned it wasn't acceptable, you might attract angry people or situations that provoke your hidden anger. If you've disowned your own neediness because you learned to be independent, you might attract needy people or find yourself in situations where your hidden needs surface. If you've rejected your own power because you learned that power corrupts, you might attract power struggles or find yourself feeling powerless. Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." The darkness he's referring to isn't evil, it's simply unconscious. And what's unconscious has power over you until you make it conscious. The process of shadow integration isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole. It's about reclaiming the disowned aspects of yourself so they can serve your highest good rather than sabotage your conscious intentions. When you integrate your shadow, something profound happens. You stop projecting your inner conflicts onto your outer world, and your outer world stops reflecting those conflicts back to you. How to align with what you are, not just what you want. Here are a few simple but powerful practices to help you shift from wanting to becoming. Mirror the energy of your desired life. Before you ask for something, ask, would the future version of me act like this today? Start showing up as if it's already happening, not from delusion, but from devotion. But also ask Jung's question, what aspects of this desired life am I unconsciously rejecting or fearing? Audit your circle. You can't become your next self surrounded by people who keep feeding your old story. Let go of environments that shrink you. And also pay attention to what you judge in others. These judgments often point to disowned aspects of yourself that need integration. Shadow work practice. Instead of just focusing on what you want, spend time exploring what you're afraid of getting. What would be challenging about having what you desire? What aspects of your desired life trigger fear or resistance? What qualities do you need to develop that you've been avoiding? Become grateful. Instead of saying, "I want this," start saying, "Thank you" for everything you already are. Gratitude expands your capacity to receive more, not just wish for more. Practice gratitude for your wholeness, including your wounds, your struggles, and your shadow. These aren't obstacles to your desires. They're often the very things that will make you capable of holding what you truly want. Act first, believe along the way. You don't need to feel ready. Action breeds clarity. Clarity fuels identity. Identity shapes reality. But ensure your actions come from authenticity, not performance. Acting from a persona might get you what you think you want, but it won't get you what your soul needs. Revisit your inner talk. What story are you repeating in your mind every day? Change your narrative. The universe listens to your inner voice more than your outer performance. Notice not just your conscious thoughts, but the unconscious beliefs that drive them. What core beliefs about yourself, life, and your worthiness are operating beneath your surface thoughts? You don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you're aligned with. The universe is not a vending machine, but a mirror, brutally honest and impossibly generous. It won't give you what your ego wants. It will give you what your energy allows. If you keep hitting the same walls, check your internal compass. Who are you when no one is watching? What do your habits say about your identity? What energy do you bring into every room, relationship, and decision? You don't need to manifest harder, but live truer. When your identity rises to meet your desires, the universe cannot help but give it to you. Carl Jung brings all this together when he wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Because when you accept yourself completely, shadow and light, wounds and gifts, fears and power, you stop trying to get something from life and start giving something to life. You stop attracting from neediness and start attracting from wholeness. You stop manifesting from ego and start creating from soul. And that's when the magic happens. Not because you've manipulated reality, but because you've finally aligned with it. Today, take a long walk. Without the phone or podcast, ask yourself, what do I want? Who do I need to be to live that life? Not tomorrow, but today. What aspects of this desired identity am I avoiding or rejecting? What's one small decision I can make now that honors both my conscious desires and my unconscious truth? Then act, not to prove anything, but because you finally decided you're done wanting, you're ready to become, you're done trying to get something from life, you're ready to give something to life, you're done attracting from ego, you're ready to create from the soul. You don't become what you want, you become what you believe. Oprah Winfrey. And what you believe is shaped by what you've made conscious. And most of all, stay true to the you that already holds everything you're chasing, not in your ego's grasp, but in your soul's knowing.